we're in the state semifinals.
Yep.
We're in the state semifinals, and there are 20 games this weekend. Unfortunately, if you're a six-man fan, you guys get the. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, you get the week off.
Right.
We're probably not going to talk a lot of six-man this week, to be entirely honest, just
Right.
because there's nothing going on. You guys play on Wednesday, and that's the next time we'll talk about you guys. But in any case, there are 20 11-man state semifinals this weekend. 20 tickets to be punched to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, and all of them are great games. I think I tweeted this on like Sunday. I'm looking at the games. There's about one of the 20 that I feel like I think I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a giant shrug emoji. They're all pretty close, and actually our computer projections, which are going up after the show today, indicate that they are all very close as well.
Right.
But not all the games are created equal, and specifically not all the matchups are created equal. I'm a big believer in the idea that styles make fights, right? That you can have a team that is way more talented, but if the other team has a scheme that works, then it's going to be very dangerous.
Right.
I look back at like Corpus Christi Calallen last year. I don't think they were the second best team in that bracket, but the second most. Let me be clear: second most talented team in that bracket. There were blue chip prospects all over the place in that bracket, but they were one of the most sound teams, right?
Yes.
And they had a style that worked. Same thing with Gunner. Gunner is a tremendously talented team that is made even better because of their scheme.
Right.
So styles make fights, and specifically matchups that we're going to keep an eye on this weekend that I think are going to be able to tell the tale of what the state championship games look like in a week. And so I've identified, I think, 5 matchups that I'm particularly going to have my eye on this weekend, and I think it's going to go a long way towards determining who we're seeing in a week at AT&T Stadium.
All right.
The first one is maybe one you don't think about. Allen's offensive line against Round Rock Cedar Ridge's defensive line. So Allen's offensive line has been eating opponents alive this year.
Yes.
Their offensive line is ridiculous. Their tackle, Trey Stratford, is a super prospect, and everyone on that line, I think, is getting better as well as the season has gone on. Cedar Ridge is going to be, in my mind, a very unique challenge for them because they are not a huge defensive line, but they are very quick.
Right.
And you saw that last week against Pflugerville-Hendrickson, that they were just boop in the backfield.
Yep.
And Allen is a huge offensive line that maybe is not the most mobile.
Yeah.
Right? And so if Cedar Ridge is going to pull the upset, and make no mistake, Allen's got to be considered the favorite in this game. If they're going to spring the upset, I think it's going to start up front. It's going to start with that defensive line shooting the gaps and getting past the offensive line and blowing up plays in the backfield.
Right.
Because this will be arguably the quickest offensive line. Think about what they saw last week with Yule's Trinity. Allen did.
Right.
That is a huge defensive line that just eats up space. Right? This is an entirely different challenge for Allen. And I think Cedar Ridge could have some success up front if they're able to shoot the gaps and use their quickness up front to really take advantage of an Allen offensive line that maybe hasn't seen that kind of quickness before. That's one. Another matchup I'm going to have my eye on, and I think this is the matchup of the weekend.
Oh, come on.
It's Wimberley's offense against West Orange Stark's defense.
No doubt, man.
This is arguably, of the state semifinals, the strength-on-strength matchup of the weekend. You have a West Orange Stark defense that I believe ranks 8th in the state in points allowed per game. It's like 8.1 points per game, and a lot of those points are in garbage time.
Right.
This team is rolling right now. The defense, this is the chain gang defense. It's the traditional chain gang defense. They've been fantastic. They're going up against a Wimberley team that the offense seems to be hitting on all cylinders. JoJo Weeks is in complete command of this offense, and they are looking very, very good right now. And it's just, again, that's an issue. I think JoJo Weeks is a tremendous quarterback, and you see he committed to UTSA the other day. A long-time baseball commit to Texas State, and now he's going to play football at UTSA. Might play both. I don't know if, does UTSA have a baseball team?
Yes.
Do they? Okay, I didn't know. But in any case, that is another example of an offense that maybe is not the most talented.
Right.
Like I don't think that if you put the Wimberley offense, as far as just an athlete part of you, up against like Fort Bend Marshall,
Right.
like Fort Bend Marshall's winning that contest, right? But the execution they have is so precise, and it is so locked in right now that they're going to challenge this West Orange Shark defense that has answered every bell.
Right.
Remember, this was a West Orange Shark defense that held Kennedale to a season low in points, something like 21 points.
20. It won the game 21-20.
Yeah, 21-20.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the strength-on-strength matchup of the weekend.
Yeah, and what makes it more fascinating is the fact that both teams on the other side of the ball are just not that great.
Both
right?
teams, both
West
teams
Orange
are
Stark
average.
has really
right?
struggled offensively in the playoffs. West Orange and Wimberley has made plays when they need to down the stretch, but it's not as if they're one of the top teams in points allowed.
No, like their defense, you know, if you look at the numbers for both teams, like on the other side of the ball, they're not going to overwhelm you. Like it's just like, oh, okay, they're fine. You know, it's nothing special. So this is what's going to be really interesting is can Wimberley's offense find a way past the West Orange Shark defense when basically nobody else has.
Right.
That's a big one. What about Manville's defense against B.J. Foster?
Sure.
Right? So we saw it last week when Angleton beat – who did they beat?
Why are you doing this?
Sorry.
You always do this.
I know I did. Dude, I'm sorry. You know I'm bad at this. Okay. So Angleton got a win.
Foster.
They pulled away
They
from
beat
Richmond
Richmond
Foster.
Foster.
Thank you. They pulled away from Richmond Foster. You don't you roll your eyes
I
on me.
roll my eyes if I want.
And a big reason why is that they turned to B.J. Foster and they said, hey, you go do the thing.
Right. It's basically the game's a draw, and then B.J. Foster does his thing.
And Angleton's not a one-trick pony.
No.
Tamrick Williams has been great for them as well. But B.J. Foster is the game breaker on that team. He is the guy who can take over a game. He will be, and this is saying something in my view, he will be the single most talented player on that field on Friday night. Friday night, Saturday? This weekend. He will be the single most talented player. And that's certainly saying something because Manville is a freak show.
Yeah.
But B.J. Foster is unbelievable.
Yeah.
How does the Manville defense stand up and find a way to contain B.J. Foster? Because he is the guy that if Angleton's going to get to a title game, if Angleton's going to make their second title game ever, their first title game since 1958, they're going to do it on the back of B.J. Foster making special plays.
Right.
Can Manville contain it, or will B.J. Foster have a big game? That's a big matchup. I've got my eye. Another one, and we had people at Iowa Park telling us about this last Friday night.
Yep.
Wellington's offensive line against Munster's defensive line. We were so impressed by Munster's defensive line that they are big, but not like girthy.
Just strong.
They're just
tall
strong.
and strong.
They're
Yeah.
tall and strong, and they
For-
play with great leverage.
For that level,
And they
it's
ate
impressive.
up a good Albany offensive line.
Yeah.
Well, now they're going up against maybe the best offensive line in 2A Division II. Because Wellington is big and physical.
Yeah.
And they don't let people get in the backfield and touch Luke Williams. So that is a key matchup for a 2A Division II semifinal. Can the Wellington offensive line slow down Munster's defensive line, or vice versa? Can Munster's defensive line penetrate what has been an nearly impenetrable Wellington offensive line? You know, the headliner there is that Trevor Roberson, the 6'11", 340-pound kid, right? But the whole offensive line is really good and really solid, and that is going to be a big challenge for Munster's defensive line. That's a big matchup for me. And the other one, Katie's defense against Garrett Wilson. Much in the same way that we talk about B.J. Foster, right, for Angleton.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson is the playmaker for Lake Travis, and it's only gotten more and more pronounced for them that Garrett Wilson is the guy. They want to, when they need a big play, they turn to the junior. And he has delivered in pretty much every single way. Now, here comes Katy. And Katy is maybe the most sound defense in the state. Maybe the side of West Orange Star.
Yeah.
Their defense is out of control. And they are, that is one place where Lake Travis has to win matchups. They have to win. They have to get Garrett Wilson the ball, and they have to get Garrett Wilson the ball in space, and they have to have Garrett Wilson make people miss. Can Katy contain the guy who has been arguably the most explosive player in Central Texas? That is a big matchup to determine who's going to be playing in the 6A Division I title game.